Hi, I'm Tyler, again, as most of you all know now, and this is our very last discussion board. It's kind of crazy that we're almost done with this semester. Okay, I chose to talk about the charismatic movement, partly because I'd never really heard of it and I wanted to learn about it, and just because I wanted to see, in the past, as far as history goes, there's always a tendency to have a sense of irony in the names of things. And I don't know, the charismatic movement, carefree, go with the flow. I really wanted to know if it was like that, or if it was a complete ironic statement, and didn't really have anything to do with any type of go with the flow or carefreeness. I don't really know how better to say that. And I must admit, I think it was a very ironic choice to call it the charismatic movement, because it was very traditional churches of different denominations that really kind of followed their own code. And what the charismatic movement was these denominations were adopting Pentecostal beliefs and practices. And in the past, if a person of a certain denomination, like a Baptist, wanted to start doing Catholic things, I don't want to say they were excommunicated, but they weren't part of the Baptist church anymore. And so the charismatic movement was kind of a role reversal kind of thing. And they could invite other belief systems and practices in, and it was totally not frowned upon. They really honed in on the spiritual gifts of the Pentecostals, like speaking in tongues, and I don't know, I'm trying to really gather as to why people did this kind of thing. It dated to about the 1960s, and it was called the Neo-Pentecostal belief system. That's or the charismatic movement, or the renewal in the historic churches, because all the traditional churches invited all this mainstream kind of stuff in to kind of make their traditions new and keep people coming, and they really relinquished control of their traditions that had been so key to their existence. They suddenly let them go. And like I said earlier, if you did that in the past, you weren't part of that church anymore. But it was embraced and celebrated, and they loved it, and they believed that the gifts were of the Holy Spirit, just as the New Testament described it. And contemporary Christians possess these gifts, like laying hands on people and healing. And I don't want to say I'm a skeptic about that, but I will say that I think Jesus is the ultimate healer. And I don't know if those kind of gifts lie in a human. I could be completely wrong. But Dennis Bennett was an Episcopalian, and he is remembered as one of the charismatic movement's most influential people. He had a lot to do with the Episcopal Church, and he's the one who really announced that he was the first one to really say that he was given gifts, very Pentecostal related gifts, the healing, speaking in tongues, and to embrace it, and that it should be celebrated, and that we should kind of pull from a lot of different religions, which I don't really know how I feel about that. I'm part of a non-denominational church, and I love it, but I think if I walked in and people were speaking in tongues, I wouldn't really know what to do, because I didn't grow up in a church like that. And I guess just like a Pentecostal coming in and singing from a hymn book and hearing fire and brimstone, and I don't know, it's two very different ways of worship and listening to the gospel and delivering a message, and just very different. The charismatic movement, it was just a movement. It didn't last an incredibly long time. Kind of died out for obvious reasons. But, it has died out in relation to specific denominations here and there, but apparently the Roman Catholics still hold on to it kind of tight. The Catholic Charismatic Renewal is what it is referred to now. And it was founded by the Congregation of the Holy Spirit, a Catholic religious community, and they've been having these charismatic revivals since 1977. And it's still active today in the new millennium. The millennium. It's not like we've ever had another millennium. I don't know how I feel about it. I think this is one of the first discussion boards that I don't really have one specific side. Do I really agree with it? Do I really not? Because, well, that's a lie. I don't agree with it. I think the motive behind it, to keep things new and fresh, is it's a really great idea. And, that's the Renaissance, rebirth. I get it. You want to be new again. You want to keep things going and fun and relatable. I get that. But I also think that traditions that have been around forever, that what you believe in was founded on, well, they were founded on those things for a reason, and they work, and they're real, and they're true. And I don't think it's necessary to invite in all these other things just to stay new and up to date. I think that can really be detrimental in some cases. I think the charismatic movement might have had a good beginning, and a good reason, and what they thought might have been just a really good direction to go in. But I think as it progressed, they realized it wasn't. And the traditions really do matter, and there's a reason a tradition is a tradition that's carried on for years and years and years. And I know a tradition has to start somewhere, but I think they realize pulling from multiple denominations and getting hold of these gifts and these healings and all that wasn't as great as they thought. But apparently the Roman Catholics did, because they still hold tight. So, congratulations, y'all. We're done.